Yay! So a slightly different chatty coffee date. Pulled out the big guns. I got like the the big coffee cup today. Yeah. Yeah. Um, so this one won't necessarily be I said necessarily twice, but it won't necessarily be like answering y'all's questions, although you're always welcome to leave them. Truly, Sabrina and I sit down every Saturday. We have these Q&As. We have a really fun one next week coming out with you with a guest, which I'm really excited about. But anytime you guys have a question, just put a little coffee cup emoji next to it, and then we know you want to see your question answered, and we'll sit down and we'll chat about it, right? Like if friends were hanging out, these are the conversations we'd have. But we've gotten a lot of questions and assumptions over a particular topic that keeps happening and happening and happening. And I will be completely transparent and honest and say it's driving me crazy, like legit crazy. So I've told Sabrina for like a week now, I'm like, we're just doing a podcast. We're just going to sit down like we would as friends, as sisters in Christ, and just have a conversation about this because I get misconceptions. I get personal judgments. We all have them. Like, we're lying if you say that you don't make judgments or you don't have your 2 cents at how something should be. We all do, right? We're people.
I think God gave us discernment, and like that's the first step in discernment is to snap judgment, but then you have to like let it develop, and then that's the discerning part. And I think we're getting a lot of snap judgments before the discerning happens.
That's the key, right? We all make snap judgments. We do. But if we're professing believers, the next thing we're to do with those snap judgments is put them through that biblical filter, using all of our, spirit guided senses and go, okay, so where are we at, right? Now I've discerned it. Where did we fall? Because if life was just a black and white, cut and dry, we wouldn't need 66 books of scripture. We would just need one of those like T lists of like go, no go, done, right? Like, that's all it would be. And we would be little robots who just show up. And if I'm a Christian, I just, right? That's what it would be. So is there right from wrong? Yes. Is there importance and value and lesson and all of that? 1,000% yes, we're not taking that away. But when our snap judgments don't go through biblical discernment, we're doing it wrong. And as believers, like, we need to be called out and we need to be convicted of that. And we need to get in line with scripture, because that's not what we're called to be or how we're called to act or what we're called to do or any of that. And I know that the internet is the worst place in the world to go expecting people to, follow through with the whole process. I get it. But I think because we keep seeing the same types of comments and even engaging with people and trying to talk and explain and go through scripture, it's funny because I've been leaving lots of scripture for people going, okay, if we're going to make this snap judgment, like we need to follow it through scripturally in context. Like, yes, absolutely. I'm not above a reproach. I'm a sinful, wretched human being. I don't it's not about me. But if we're going to do this and we need to complete the process, nobody ever responds. Like once you do that, everybody's like, oh.
I kind of see your Bible verses as, I'm so sorry, the conversation killer. Yeah. Like, you leave a Bible verse and then nobody ever responds, and it shuts the conversation down real fast because either they don't have a response, a rebuttal, or they're so angry that they can't figure out how to type. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Right. Because people have no problem bickering back and forth. Like, we'll bicker all day. But when the response is, okay, well, here's scripture. Let's look through this scripturally in context, let's go through the steps. You're right. Conversation killed. Gone. But we're not going to be that way. We're going to be people who sit here, have mature, spirit-guided conversations with one another, discuss these things, right? Take snap judgments, and then say, okay, let me start pouring this into a biblical filter. And I know I've been guilty of that. I didn't always do that process, right? Like, it's in that refinement and that growth that you start to realize, ooh, there's snap judgments, which I get, easy to make. We all do it. The world loves it. But as believers, we have to then take those snap judgments and filter them through scripture and discern. That's the thing. We are different than those of the world. We don't just go by that. We do this. Mm-hmm. So think the overall topic being, what is worldly, right? So you guys saw that in the title, but I think in just, again, a couple of sisters hanging out, drinking coffee, chatting, we're going to cover a lot of topics, because the thing that really set this off was, for some reason, in a video, 2 weeks ago now, people flipped out over my nose ring like they had just seen it. I've had my nose pierced for 20 years. Like, I feel like you can't even really see it, but I'm like, yes, I do have a stud in my nose, and have for 20 years now. You have your nose pierced, which I feel like I can't even see. It was so funny when I saw it. I'm like, I had to go back because I'm like, wow, like, what's wrong? I look the same in everything I do. Yeah, you get a little tiny, So nose ring was one that comes up. Wearing makeup is one that comes up. Having dyed hair is one that comes up. And things like you have dreadlocks. That's another thing that comes up. The topic of just clothing, right? What we wear. I talked about, which is funny because on the other side of it, then I have people who are like, why are you calling yoga pants immodest? I'm like, I can see all your business. That's why I'm calling yoga pants immodest. It doesn't even take much of an imagination to see what all's going on there. But anyways, so we're just going to kind of chat through all of these things. And the bigger topic of understanding what is worldly, because while we're going to touch on those things specifically, because I think there's a conversation to be had there, obviously, because people keep messaging us about it. So obviously there's a conversation to be had there. But the kind of like underlying thing to all of this is, well, you look worldly. Okay, well, let's define that then. Worldly is a blanket statement. Because I kind of look and I'm like, I personally don't get it. Like, I wouldn't look at you and be like, you are worldly. We had a gal literally tell us that she cannot watch these videos because of your hair. She can't watch them. And I was like, wow, I'm sorry you're missing out on great fellowship with sisters who love the Lord because of someone's hair. Do you even know why her hair is like that? Like anything? Well, doesn't matter, right? Like, I can't even watch it. I can't be a part of this. I had a lady email me once and said she really wanted to do the biblical womanhood study, but she just had to ask, was my nose pierced? I said, yeah, I got a good little stud right here. My ears are pierced as well. And as a teenager, my belly button was pierced. Right? So like, what's that product? Like, what is worldly then? If we look at these things and we go, ooh, I see some little bits of pink in your hair. No go. I am wearing color on my lips. Now it comes from a Burt's Bees like lip shimmer. Like, is that bad? Right? You just go through these things. And I think it's, sorry, I have a kid texting me. I think it's just such an interesting conversation to go, okay, if we're going to make the snap judgment of, ooh, worldly, no, thank you. Okay, well then what is worldly? Right?
I think that when we had those specific comments left about the fact that I look worldly and they can't watch the podcast because I look too worldly. And then I remember around Halloween, somebody commented that I looked like I was wearing a costume.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even remember that.
Oh, I did.
I know you did.
Because every week when we do this, I comment, how am I supposed to wear my hair? What am I supposed to do with it? Am I supposed to not wear my sweater? Because this is just like a heavenly minded home. Like,
it literally says heavenly minded homemaker.
It's our company sweater. And like, Heidi gave it to me as a present and I was so excited and I love it so much. And black, I wear black all the time just because it's black. I had 4 kids.
Because we're moms, right?
I had 4 kids in 3 years. That means that I had a 3-year-old, an 18-month-old, and I had 2 infant twins. I was covered in schmutz all the time. Black is my go-to color.
Yep. Hey, I now have incorporated some dark green into my wardrobe. Branching out here, getting crazy.
But like, I remember these comments because I'm really self-conscious about these things. And every time somebody comments that I look worldly, I'm like, oh goodness, I should not be on the internet. I should not be putting myself out there. This is exactly why I was so concerned to put myself out here to begin with, because I don't look like the stereotypical Christian.
Which is, let me just say, the dumbest thing in the whole wide world. Like, it kills me when people say these things, because it's like, would you walk up to someone in person and just say this to them? Number one, like, it's the internet, so everybody's a keyboard warrior, right? Because, oh, well, you're not a real person, whatever. I can say whatever I want to say. But I'm like, why would you say that to someone? Like, again, I get everybody sees someone else and makes a snap judgment. Everybody does. But it's what you do with that snap judgment. And as Christians, we're called then to okay, snap judgment, biblical filter, discern, right? Like, that should be our process. Not, I can't even listen to this. She looks like she's wearing a Halloween costume. Ew. Did you listen to 5 words that came out of her mouth?
I mean, maybe they didn't. I don't sound great, so like, done.
So you sound so worldly.
I just saying. I have actually had people in my real life come up to me while I'm grocery shopping with my husband, and they have pulled on my hair from behind to see if it was real. And when I turned around, because somebody is literally yanking on my hair, I turned around and they looked at me and they said, "Oh, I just wanted to see if it was real." And I said, "Oh, all you had to do was ask. I'm really open. I'll talk to you. But like, please don't pull my hair. That's attached to my head and it hurts." I've had people
the creepiest thing ever.
I've had people while I have been pumping gas. I've had people yell out of their car window at me that I look like trash. I have had people walk up to me in our local grocery store and ask who does my hair. And when I responded that my husband actually dyes my hair for me, their response was, "Oh, thank goodness. I would never go to him. And I'm so glad that I never have the availability of going to him because, And then they turn around and walk away. So.
Right. But I am a concern of the world. Like, if the world's going, because those are all horrific, horrible things. Who does that?
And I've come to the point, because I've had colored hair for a very long time. I've come to the point where I just expect the world to act like that, because it's the world. They take snap judgments and just run with it. And that's what happens. Mm-hmm. But when I go to a church with my mom that I've gone to since I was in 2nd grade, and I have known these people since I was like, that would be 7 years old. I've known these people since I was 7 years old. Mm-hmm. They know my entire history. They see me all the time. They are usually like taken back, but then they remember who I am and they go, "Oh, yeah, that's just your clothing. That's just your externals. It's just your outside. It's your adornments, whatever." And then they go past it. But it's interesting when the people in the church are the most judgmental, mm-hmm. because it doesn't feel like it should be that way.
No. Because I think that's it. And you brought up this point when we first started talking about this, about as Christians, how important it is if we're just going to blanket something with "that's so worldly." Okay. Worldly that's a thing, right? And that's we are to be ambassadors of Christ. And that means we look a certain way, we act a certain way, we talk a certain way, we live a certain way. Like, yes, we affirm all of this 1,000,000,000,000%. So let's define what that is, right? So if I look at you and make the snap judgment that how you look doesn't fit my perception of what it should, because that's different. To the Amish, guess what? The Baptists look worldly. To the right, like we could do this all day with that first snap judgment of, ooh, you're doing what? You're wearing what? You're spending money on what? You're spending time on what? We could do that all day. But if we never invoke any other discerning tool and just say, worldly, okay, do you want me to show up with a fine-tooth comb to your life and make decisions on what's worldly and what's not worldly? Like that would be insane, right? If that's what we did, you'd be like, that's the most legalistic nonsense I've ever heard of in my life. Somebody tried leaving me a verse last night that, it was something in Jeremiah, I don't have it pulled up, but that Christian women can't wear makeup. Which is funny because like, I know you, Sabrina, you don't wear any makeup. You're just gorgeous all the time. I wear a little bit of makeup, but I don't think I wear like a ton of makeup. I put a little bit on, like, okay. It's definitely not an area of vanity. I will happily show up, makeup, no makeup, doesn't matter to me. We're in a happy spot. My husband likes it. This is what I do. Like, that's it. Like, it takes me less than 5 minutes. It's not a big deal. It's not where my time and money and effort goes to. And you know this, like I am happy to I'll show up on the internet with nothing on. Like, I don't care. Like I've done vlogs super sick and feverish and looking nasty. And I'm like, whatever. I'm still here. You know, it doesn't matter. I don't care. It's not like an issue of, oh, you can't see me. I don't have my face on. You know what I mean?
It's just an external adornment. And you can put it on or you could not. And it's not that big of a deal because like, it's like a prom dress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's an appropriate place to wear a prom dress.
Mm-hmm.
But like if I can't leave the house without my prom dress on. Don't look at me with my prom dress on. Y'all would think I'm crazy.
Yes, that would be weird.
So like, that's how I see it. But no, I used to wear makeup. I just don't now.
But they left me a verse and it cracked me up because the verse said, it was something along the lines.
I think it was 4:30.
Okay. And should I just pull it up so that way we have like the official, so I'm not paraphrasing. I'm not being the message over here.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, hold on. Oh yeah, I already have it pulled up because I pulled it up last night. Jeremiah 4, let me scroll down to 30. So they just leave me this. They say Christian women can't wear makeup. And then they leave, what are you doing? You who have plundered, why do you dress up in beautiful clothing and put on gold jewelry? Why do you brighten your eyes with mascara? Your primping will do you no good. The allies who were your lovers despise you and seek to kill you. Christian women can't wear makeup, this verse. And I'm like, okay. I mean, clearly we're not even worried about context here. Well, if that's the case, does anybody have gold jewelry? White gold, any gold? Like, hello. And why are you wearing beautiful clothing? Who decides what beautiful clothing is? Because if I just lounge around in like scuzzy, yucky clothes all day, my husband's going to be like, can you please maybe like at some point not just wear ratty sweats? No, honey, that would be beautiful clothing. And Jeremiah 4:30, I can't do that. Do you see how that doesn't make sense? The same thing, you know, when we talk about what is worldly, we can make a snap judgment, but then we have to discern it. What is worldly? Well, if I just look at you, Sabrina, and go, ew, pink hair, dreadlocks, nose ring, gold jewelry, makeup, earrings, worldly. Never mind the fact your sweater says heavenly minded homemaker, whatever. But how are you acting? Like, are you standing over every time? I mean, are you over there just like with your car rocking loud music that's like F-bombing every 3 seconds and you're like guzzling beer? I don't know. Like, what do worldly people do? I don't know. But like, like what are the things that you're doing? Does that scream worldly? What are the things you're saying? Are you just like, and just doing it like, is that like, you know what I mean? Like, are we not going to filter through? Because yeah, discerning is huge, right? You look at the mega pastors we have today and all the stuff, and I'm like, hello, discernment anywhere, biblical discernment, anyone, like, will happily listen to heretics and don't say anything mean. God can use them like he uses anyone. We got no problem with The Chosen. We got no problem with Bethel Music. You know, we got no problem with all of these things. But oh, Sabrina, pink hair, ew. What were all the words that were used about my nose ring? How, what was it like? It was called ungodly because of having a nose ring that makes me look ungodly. The hideous, you right? Just like all these words that were used. And I'm like, you don't have to like it. Like, I'm not here to please you. You don't have to think I'm pretty. You don't have to think you like my sweater or my jewelry or like my hair. You don't have to like me. It's not about that.
I'm pretty sure you weren't trying to convert anybody to have the nose ring. You weren't trying to showcase any of the benefits of it. You weren't.
I forget we have them most of the time until it's brought up. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I mean, I do.
That wasn't the point of the conversation. But other people thought it was. And they felt the need to point it out It's really interesting because the first sentence in almost all of these the comments starts with, I don't want to be mean.
Yeah.
Well, you're using mean words like hideous and ungodly. And I don't understand. If you could explain it, I will freely give you my time so that I can understand your point of view. But I don't understand your point of view, so I'm going to need some help.
Yeah.
When we got the comment that I looked too worldly, I asked, because that comment really affected me, both of the comments that have been left that really affected me, both said that I don't look like Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm never going to look like Christ. I'm so sorry. I'm never going to look like Christ. I'm not a guy. Just saying, just in physicalness, I'm not a guy. I'm American. I got the whitest of skin. I don't even tan people. I got blue eyes. Like, I'm only 5 foot. I am never going to look like Christ. If I'm supposed to emulate Christ and like from my inside showcase Christ, I can't do that through my look. I can't look like Christ. I can try to act like him. I can try to demonstrate his thoughts and his ideals and how he worked and did things and his love, but
intermission.
Sorry, but I'm never gonna look like Christ. I asked my husband if I actually told him that the comment I wanted to leave back was, would you like to smell me? And he just thought it was the silliest comment in the whole world. And then I told you, and you guys did the same thing. And you were like, wait, you want people to smell you? Well, not really. Like, I think I smell okay. But if you're going to take one snap decision off of one of your senses, you don't look Christian. Well, instead of using your sense of eyes, would you like to use your sense of nose? Do I smell Christian? Is there a way for me to smell Christian? How do you do that? Well, can I feel Christian? Like from the outside, do I feel like a Christian? I have to sound like a Christian and move through life like a Christian. And I was pretty sure that that was the things that I was doing and that I was demonstrating. And it's very strange and quite hurtful to just have somebody look at you from the outside and go, you don't look like enough.
Because that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. And I'm sure all of us have been guilty to some degree of something where we've seen and been like, I'm doing better than that. What are you doing?
But it's like they have this imaginary line, and I haven't met it. I'm not tall enough to ride. I'm not up to snuff. I'm not. But in reality, I'm really bad at this because my flesh is very insecure. But I know I'm not supposed to care about meeting somebody else's enough measurement. I don't care about you have to be this tall to be in my Christian club. I don't care if I'm in their Christian club. I'm in Christ's Christian club. And like, that's the one that I kind of think matters the most. And I'm really, really sorry that I don't look like what you want me to look like. But
that is.
I didn't know there was a requirement. And oh my goodness, this is something I tell my husband all the time. I want the manual.
Yeah.
I wasn't given the manual like everybody else was, because apparently they all have this like measurement system and this numeric, like, ooh, you didn't meet this number. How dare you be on the internet talking? What number is this? How do I reach it? Ooh, do you have the manual? Can you share that with me? Because actually that would be very helpful.
Right. Where's that T list of like, go, don't go? Like, I want to follow on it. Right. Like, okay, what are the things I check off? That's how God, so it's so you're literally putting it back to a works-based system of this is what I have to do to find God's love, to have something.
Apparently, like, I just missed that day in Christian school where they handed out the manuals to everybody.
Well, and that's the thing too, that like, I'm going to pull it up because again, this is the understanding. There is cultural difference. God gave us differences. He gave us that there's still, again, you can take a snap judgment because we all have them. I'm not faulting anyone for having a snap judgment, but it is our job as believers to then filter that through scripture, to use all of our spirit-led senses to go, okay, because no, I can't pull up scripture that just says, this is go, this is no go, when it comes to necessarily what I look like, what's on the external, right? There's a lot of depth, there's a lot of heart, there's a lot of root, right? That's where I said something like I use the term yoga pants in a video, but to demonstrate modesty. I have yoga pants. I wear yoga pants. I wear them under dresses, under long top, right? Like I have them, but I don't walk around in yoga pants and a crop top because then all my business will be hanging out and ain't nobody need to be looking at all my stuff, right? Like my husband would never let me walk out the door in yoga pants and a crop top. I would never go before any other man in yoga pants and a crop top because I would be trying to show you business that you ain't got no business looking at, right? Like, no.
That was the other piece of it, is that in the yoga pants video, and we just call it that because that's the piece that everybody hated. In the
Everybody loves their yoga pants a little too much, just saying.
And truly, you and I both own them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're not, the bits hanging out is
because modesty, right? That root was the point.
The person who said that they couldn't watch the video with me in it called you a hypocrite.
Yes.
Because it's a terrible thing that you called out yoga pants for being attention seeking when I look like this and you host me on your podcast. And obviously the reason I look like this is for attention, and that I am an attention seeking person. And this is my validation.
Yeah. And so again, if we're just going to take that one key piece, like if I see you walking around in a teeny tiny little bikini, I'm going to go, whoa, that's a deep root thing, because immodesty is whatever. I'm not saying that you have to walk around looking Amish.
There's like a lot of spaces in between it. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with being Amish. If that's what you feel, fantastic. Have at it. That's fine. But there's clear immodesty that's there. So if I look at you and I go, wow, you look like you're really trying to draw attention to yourself. Why else would you have bright pink hair? That's a fair snap judgment, I think, right? If you see someone bright colored hair, you're clearly trying to get people's attention. You have bright pink hair. Okay. Yeah. So now let's process that through with the rest of our senses and go, are you seeking to get everyone to pay attention to you and look at you and whatever? Okay, Sabrina, I love you so much, so much. It takes less than 5 minutes of being anywhere near you to see that that is not your spirit in the slightest, in the tiniest little bit. Like, even the fact, again, that you do this is only because I've strong-armed you into it, right? Like, but I think that you are such a blessing, and you're someone I look up to so much to be more, to, like, I see Christ through you, how you are with your children, with your husband, and your life, you know, in all those ways that, like, I look up to you in that. And you have been such an encouragement to me because I'm very bold and headstrong and I have more confidence than I need. Like, I wish I could give it away, right? Like, I'm too far on the other side where, like, that gentle, quiet spirit that the Lord loves isn't me in the slightest. I am like, me left to my flesh. I'm the most independent, headstrong, get out of my way. I have no problem. I'll say anything, right? Like that, like bulldog nonsense. That would be me. That is the most ungodly thing in the whole wide world. I don't have pink hair, but that is incredibly ungodly. I look at you and how much, like, just how gentle and kind and reassuring and thoughtful and like all of these things that you do. And I'm like, I could be more like her, not because I need to go dye my hair, but because you have that beautiful spirit, right? It's the inward that the Lord looks for and what shines and whatever. Like, I see so much of that in you. And I go, you have to come do this because, like, we're so the same in so many ways, but yet we're like counterbalances. Like, you do that, like emulate that so well, where that's an area that I've spent the past decade working very hard to grow in because I'm left to my own devices and not that person. Like, again, if I was going for worldly things, I'd be fantastic. I would be great. No problems. I don't want to be that person. I want to be like this person here, you know, that has those traits. And so it's like, clearly you're not here to just draw attention to yourself. And again, I can make a snap judgment and look at you and go, want attention much? Like, you have pink hair. It's bright.
So before I had pink hair, I've never really had a lot of friends, but I had a friend. And when I dyed my hair pink, that was actually the comment that she made. Wow, want attention? And it was, oh, wow. My friend who knows me really well thinks this about me. Oh, no. I dyed my hair pink because my husband asked me to. He recognized that I went through a very, very traumatic point in my life where everything changed. It was one of those days where you wake up and you thought life was going in one direction. And then by the end of the day, your life has catastrophized and you are now having to walk in a different direction completely. So I had a very traumatic experience. And my husband asked me if there was anything that would possibly bring any like fun piece to my life. And we had talked that dyeing the tips of my hair could be fun because I could always just cut it off. And he was like, let's do it. he went out and got all the stuff and just did it that day and was like, we are going to fix life. We are going to fix this. It's okay. And this was like our micro Band-Aid for a situation that we knew was going to take a lot of time to fix. Mm-hmm. And when we dyed the bottom of it, he was like, oh, I like this. This is fun. And then he plays with my hair all the time. It's just something he's always done. I've always had long hair and he's always played with it. And he was like, what if we just dyed the whole thing? That could be fun. And then it will always wash out. It's fine. So we started doing that. And then we came up with a pink color and he was like, this looks like you. And I've had people come up to me and they say that. They were like, I don't even like colored hair, but like something about you screams you should have some kind of pink hair. Okay.
And I think it's that. And that's that like inward that shows out. Like you are just genuinely the sweetest, cutest, funnest, just little thing. Because you're teeny tiny. You're 5 foot tall. Like when we go, I'll just say it, when we go to the grocery store and I'm walking around with you and my 13-year-old daughter behind me, it looks like I'm walking around with 2 of my kids. Like you're just a teeny tiny little thing. I feel like a giant next to you.
I am shorter than your 13-year-old daughter.
Yeah, you're now smaller than her. But like you could put on my 5-year-old shoes when you were here. You are a teeny tiny. You had to wiggle a little bit, but you can wear my 5-year-old shoes.
Yes,
you're teeny tiny. And you're so cute, and you have the sweetest voice, and you always say the kindest things, and you're just like you're that person who listens and will be there. Like you are so awesome, and so it's kind of funny because I'm like with your little pink hair, like it's the most fitting thing. It's adorable. I have no interest in dyeing my hair pink. I think I would look weird with pink hair. It just fits. Totally get it.
I don't understand it, but like people have said this to me and I just go, thank you. Thank you. At least there's somebody who's
tugging on my hair. Thank you.
Right? Thank you. So I had pink hair. I've had pink hair for 15 years.
Yeah.
So like a long time. My kids don't even remember me without pink hair. This is the longest I've gone without re-dyeing it. And it's literally because of me not being able to sit up long enough to have my hair dyed. My husband dyes my hair, but we just dye it because it makes me happy.
And I think that's that key, right? Like, because I can look at you and I get it. I understand. I don't fault anyone for being like, whoa, what's the deal here? Like, this is heavenly minded, whatever. And you got a chick over here with bright pink hair.
I'm free. Anybody can ask me anything and we'll figure out a way to answer it. Like I might email you back because I don't want to put my business out on the internet for everybody every time. But like, I'm an open book. And if somebody asked, why does your person have pink hair? Because that seems really worldly. Oh, well, I'll tell you. Oh, well, why does your person have dreadlocks? I'll tell you. I'll share that. I'll give you my information. I have pink hair because it's fun, and I have a chronic illness where there's not a lot of fun. I don't leave my house very often, so attention seeking. I don't see anybody, guys. I see my husband and my children, and I see Heidi. We order groceries because grocery shopping is too difficult for me to stand up and walk around that length of time. I have dreadlocks because it is more socially acceptable than wearing a helmet all the time. When I was 18, I started passing out randomly. And nobody could explain to me what was happening, but I would just black out. And then I would wake up wherever I was. And I've been in grocery stores and it's happened and I've hit my head on shelving. I've cracked the back of my head open because I've fallen on concrete. I don't know when it's going to happen, so I just collapse. And Heidi personally has gotten to see this a couple of times.
Yep.
I will be
literally, there's no warning. And then all of a sudden you're just gone.
on the floor.
Mhm.
I passed out at Disneyland. My first time at Disneyland, I passed out in the Hall of Presidents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they don't like that.
No.
I know.
It's scary. It's scary.
I know if I pass out in certain stores that they will call an ambulance and I can't leave until I've been checked out by a medical professional. And so I know not to pass out in those stores because it is going to wipe my day out and I'm not going to be able to. So, the doctor that I saw when I was 18 told me they couldn't figure out why I was passing out and to just wear a helmet. Because if I was going to hit my head, a helmet would be safer than just walking around with my skull open. And that's a really mean thing to tell an 18-year-old.
Because literally, medically, any time, every single day of your life, you will randomly pass out, which means you're going to hit whatever's in the way. And you already have brain conditions and other things on top of this, because this is actually separate from the brain condition. Like these are separate things.
Correct.
That your brain can't handle
no
taking any hits.
Mm-mm. My brain is actually too large for my skull, and it has it's shifted. I know I sound crazy, but my brain has shifted downward and is actually being pressed into my spinal column.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's being pressed into my spinal column, there's a spot on the back of, you can all feel it. Like it's that little knot at the top, right? Where your like ponytail would go, right?
Yep.
My brain actually is pressing against my skull right there, enough that it's visible almost. And if I hit that spot of my head, I'm actually smashing my brain. So if I fall backwards and hit that spot in my head, there's no skull to protect me. I'm that soft spotted baby where you literally have to cradle their head because you don't want to press on their brain. My brain's right there. So I started with Dreadlocks because it is the softest pillow that I can walk around with that is socially acceptable.
Yeah. So you constantly have a pillow protecting your head. That's why you always wear it like that, because you will I've literally watched it in my house multiple times where all of a sudden you're walking, you're talking, you're doing whatever, and then you're on the floor. And so you have this protective piece that sits here that cushions that, because you have an exposed brain that, if hit, could cause incredibly serious things. So this is this piece, like why we're going into this is because when you get the comment, well, she just looks worldly. What are you doing on Heavenly Minded? Heidi's a hypocrite and she's awful and looks like she's wearing a Halloween costume. Hold the phone. Number one, you made a snap judgment. We all do. There's no shame in that. Got it. Chick with dreadlocks, a nose ring, and pink hair. What's up? Okay. Let me now discern, because I'm a believer and I'm not like those in the world who just make snap judgments and go up and tug some random lady's hair. Don't ever touch anybody's hair in the grocery store. Let's just say that's weird. So I'm going to discern and I'm going to go, well, does she talk worldly? Is she acting world? Like, is there anything sinful that I'm seeing just pouring out of this woman? Maybe instead of being nasty, I could ask, because that's it, right? And that's where, like, when I've seen these comments, I do get a little defensive because I'm like, take 5 seconds to understand someone. Pink hair, she suffers from some of the most severe depression and more chronic illness, every time, more chronic illnesses than we could cover in one podcast. Which again, if you just ask someone, you can talk to them and you're, like, wow, that's a lot of things. I mean, we've talked openly a little bit about your stuff. Not that I'm like throwing your medical information out to everyone, but like, you need to move out here because you need brain surgery.
Yes. It's
really serious.
I had a brain scan within the last year, and I've been fighting things for a very long time. I had a brain scan within the last year, and it was for POTS. They're trying to figure out if I have a condition where my blood doesn't stay in the body the right way, and it will pool in my feet so that my brain doesn't have enough blood in it. Mm-hmm. So they were trying to see if I had this condition, and they can take a brain shot and determine it. And when they took a picture of my brain, they actually realized that it is not in the right spot at all. And that's one of the reasons that I suffer from the migraines that I suffer from. And there's a host of things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a host of things. But I'm a very sick person. Mm-hmm. I'm as happy and sweet and kind and bubbly as Heidi describes me. I'm a very sick person. I live in my house. I don't see many people. I lay on the couch a lot. Mm-hmm. Even sitting up. I was sitting at your dining room table talking with your son, and I passed out and landed on the floor from a sitting position in a chair, and nobody could jump to me fast enough.
Yeah.
It's very unpleasant. So,
but as Christians, like if we're just going to go with that snap judgment and stop there, that's awful, because it takes 2 seconds to see from someone's character, right? I might see the cover of the book and go, I'm not so sure. But then I start flipping through, reading a few pages, and I go, oh, okay, this is not what I thought this was. That's fine. It takes 2 seconds to go, oh, wow, pink hair caught me off guard. Oh, yeah, well, suffer from really, really bad depression. And you know what? Having something fun that made me feel like I could continue on with life really helped a lot. Wow, that is a much different response than, hey, I'm really stuck up and like everybody looking at me. Totally different, right? Dreadlocks. That's messy. Well, you might have a messy bun. I do dreadlocks so my skull doesn't crack open and my brain doesn't get destroyed.
I mean, I already have my brain.
Not that there's anything wrong with dreadlocks if you don't have a brain condition, because there's nothing wrong with dreadlocks. But
I have my brain leaking out of the front of my face. I don't necessarily want it leaking out the back of my face too. Like, I got enough. I don't need more. So there are these techniques that I've used to, compensate for. It's how I have to live, and it's really not that big of a deal to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I just wrap my hair up in a bun. And I fought with this really hard, and I actually have gone to multiple pastors about looking worldly, because I have pink hair and I have dreadlocks. But all of the pastors that I've spoken to have said, well, if it's dye, lots of people in the congregation would be y'all dye your hair. Y'all ladies want different color hair. It's not a big deal. You do it. Why is mine unacceptable being pink, but yours acceptable being blonde?
Why is it okay to be covering up your gray, which God calls your crown of glory that he's gifted to you? So why is it okay to cover up your gray, but you can't have pink?
If I had gray hair, I would not dye my hair pink even a tiny little bit. I would keep every silver hair imaginable. I look forward to it. I get so excited when when I find a silver hair in my husband's head, and I like cheer, and we all, yeah, woo! Because gray hair is beautiful and amazing, and I want it so very badly. Mm-hmm. And I'm not blessed with it yet. I just have normal colored hair. So yeah, my husband said, hey, if colored hair would make you feel any bit happier at all, let's do that. Because, I think having you around a longer time, but with pink hair, is a better alternative than you not being here at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's how it started.
But we have to go through that. And that's the point of, we have to remember to be discerning. If we are emulating Christ, because it's like, how do I see Christ in you when you're just walking around throwing your snap judgments at everybody and being nasty? Not trying to be mean, but I'm just going to say a bunch of mean things. that you can't say it, right? Like I can't be like, ooh, I don't mean to hurt you. And then I jab you in the face. You just jabbed me in the face. That hurts. It didn't not hurt because you said, I don't mean to hurt you.
Like, I've used this comparison with my husband. I could not imagine in person walking up to anybody ever in the grocery store and going, oh my goodness, that Hawaiian shirt that you have on, it really clashes with your complexion. Just letting you know. Just letting you know. Thought that would be helpful. I'm not meaning to offend you, but like, oh, you fix that because, ooh, that's a sin. And then I turn around and walk away. What have I just poured into that person's life? Like, I would never in 1,100 gazillion years ever consider doing that to somebody's person. But that is kind of how people are handling the internet, is that they have no problem walking by and going, ow, I don't like your shirt, and then passing through. Well, like, I don't mind having a conversation about my shirt that you don't like. Why don't you like it? Does it really not go with my skin complexion? Do I actually need to change that? Oh, am I a winter and not a summer? I don't even know what these words mean, but I know that they're thrown around on the internet. So, like, is this what I am and I need to change what I wear? Okay, I could do that, but nobody's willing to spend any time to like actually conversate about it. They just want to say those sentences and then move on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it, but I try really hard to emulate Christ and to like be Christ-like, and I don't know how to look like him. Because, like, I mean, in the traditional sense, aren't ladies only supposed to wear dresses? And Jesus was a guy and he wouldn't be allowed to wear a dress now. So, like, what do I do with that? And, but like, I don't understand the lines that are being drawn with what is worldly and what is not worldly with a look. Actions, 100 million % I understand. You can have ungodly, worldly actions.
Someone's truest priority and focus, words, like I can see a lot of things. And I can see, like, if I'm walking around with like pentagrams and satanic imagery and things like that, you
call me out. If you see like giant skulls on fire or hellborn, I don't know what's even offensive, but like, if I'm running around with that and y'all see me, you call me out, because that would be a little much. But
that's like an intentional thing to choose something. You know what I mean? Like that's colored hair, right? Another thing, like with the piercings, and I go, okay, so you have a problem with a nose ring. Okay. To be honest, I like having a simple little stud. I don't like a bunch of stuff. But these comments here that I get, you're trying to magnify myself. Again, another one of those. That's not Christian. How are you reflecting Christ with that unsightly nose ring? Right. It just like goes on and on with all of these different ones. How just, ungodly, you can't take a biblical message seriously. All of these things, right? Because of a nose ring. And it's like, okay, well, number one, there's a different, again, right? Using all of those senses. Is it you're trying to get attention, right? That's what you want. Because we could ask that question for anything. Why do we have a problem with the nose piercing? My ears are pierced. They were pierced when I was a baby. I also wear the diamonds in my ears are larger than the, fake little diamond stud in my nose. Like they are larger. They were a gift from my husband. I love them. I wear them every day. Are my earrings an issue? What if I had two holes? What if I had multiple piercings in my ears? Can I have piercings in my ears, but not a piercing in my nose? What about all of the believers in, say, India? What about all the women with their nose pierced there? Are they ungodly as well? What about Rebecca? A nose ring is the first example we see biblically of an external adornment showing you're married. I got mine pierced after getting married. I know you did the same with you, right? Like, so what about that? What about the fact that God himself, which I love, so we're going to go, but just these things, right? Because we can look, yes, you could want all the stuff. I like to make sure that I've got on a very visible wedding ring because I want everybody I run into when I'm out and about to go, oh, wow, clearly married. To me, that's important because I get very self-conscious about somebody looking at me the wrong way when I'm out and about because I'm kind of the opposite of you. I'm out and about all the time. I run errands all the time. I take the girls places all the time. Like I'm always going places all the time. I used to work. We had a business. And so I was, even if my husband was there, we'd work the events together, but we're both going in different directions. We're all over the place. I want it to be very clear that I'm a very married person. So I always make sure I have on a ring that you go, oh, wow, like clearly there's something there. I have my nose pierced as well. I wear earrings, right? There's different things. Take them or leave them. Like, I mean, I want a wedding ring just because I want people to know that I'm married, but like, I don't care about the ring. I don't care about the stuff, but I go, Rebecca is that was the first external adornment to show and signify marriage. Not that everybody who's married has to go get a nose ring, but just saying, if we're going to take this from a biblical lens, but it's not that having an adornment is like evil and wrong. It's the love and the like, I have to show off how amazing I am. So I'm walking around with like a J-Lo ring on or whatever, right? Like it's when we have the love for those things that we have an issue. But I love this. Ezekiel 16, 11 through 13, my husband, when we started getting all these comments, he's like, okay, we want to talk because is this godly? Are you showing Christ? Are you showing, what about the women in cultures where this is a standard, right? Are they not showing Christ? Well, God himself says, I gave you lovely jewelry bracelets, beautiful necklaces, a ring for your nose, earrings for your ears, and a lovely crown for your head. And you were adorned with gold and silver. Your clothes were made of fine linen and costly fabric and were beautifully embroidered. You ate the finest foods, choice flour, honey, and olive oil, and became more beautiful than ever. You looked like a queen, and so you were. Now, he's talking in context. Again, got to pull in context, y'all. He's talking about the nation of Israel and how he provided for them and gave them everything. And all, like he's talking in a bigger image here of the nation, of the people, and how he provided and how he cared for them. But even still, we can see from this that he didn't go, a ring for your nose, earrings for your ear. You look disgusting. Never touch these things. These are ungodly. What is wrong with you? That's not what it says. Like even God himself used the term as like, you see the beauty and the, like my prized queen, like I gave you these things. Like my husband gave me a wedding ring and I got, he gave me my earrings. I wear them because to my husband, it was a special, like, I want to get these for you because I love you and they're beautiful and I want you to wear these. Okay, honey, I love them and I wear my earrings. That's it. So can I have a nose ring and still look godly and be a true Christian? Yes. And earrings and ring and the clothes I choose to wear and right? Like, because there's adornments and that's it. They're adornments. It's when you give them more power that you start being, I mean, you know what I mean? Like you see people sometimes, it's like, wow, you're clearly trying to draw attention to yourself. Now I'm a Christian, and especially if you're professing to be a Christian, I'm going to enact discernment to go, is it really you trying to draw attention to yourself? Or that's just a cultural thing? That's just what makes you comfortable. That's just whatever, right? If there's a deeper heart issue to that, vanity, insecurity, pride, immodesty, right? Like if there's a deeper thing connected to it, it doesn't take very long with someone to start to see those things. And you go, oh, wow, I'm sorry that, I know for you, right? You're incredibly insecure. So I am probably the most secure human being on earth. I don't know. It just doesn't bother me. So I try to pour that into you because I'm like, your mama did not love you enough as a child, and it shows. I think you're adorable. You're gorgeous. I love you. I learned so much from you. I try all the time. Like, man, like you just walk out, not a lick of makeup on. You look gorgeous. Ah. like, but you know what I mean? Look at that. I'm like, I'm just going to pour it into you all day, because it took 5 minutes talking to you to be like, oh, cool. Like, you're not this stuck up person that's like, but that's so important for us to do, and not be these people that the world thinks Christians are, that just walk around, oh, unsightful, oh, distasteful. I didn't ask you to pierce your nose. If you think it's unsightly, don't do it.
I think it's interesting that, biblically speaking, you just read a verse and it was talking about how God adorns us in beautiful clothing. Mm-hmm. But earlier you read a verse that told us that beautiful clothing was a sin and it was like attention seeking. So how in the world does the Bible talk about clothing being both beautiful and amazing and God-given, and a sin because it's beautiful? Because it's how it's used.
Context. Hello, I'm context. Remember the old computers when you had the paperclip that popped up and helped you? We need like I don't know what it would be. I don't know if it would be a paperclip, but we need them to pop up and be like, context.
I think that's amazing. Because I think that's why it's put biblically like that God over and over again shows you that it can be good, it can be bad. It's how we think about it, but it's also how we're using it. It's a tool. A tool's not bad. A tool's not good. If you take a rake and murder somebody with it, that rake is bad. Mm-hmm. If you take a rake and you rake your neighbor's yard out of a kind act, that rake has been good. Mm-hmm. So it's how you use it. And I think God is showing us that the tools are given to us and we can use them for an okay thing. And we can have these beautiful clothings as a sign that God is working in us and that we belong to him. I would never fault, I would never in my wildest dreams think of a Jewish woman who wore a tickle. Mm-hmm. They're not called that because I'm not Jewish and I can't make the right sounds, but those beautiful wraps on their head. I would never look at them and go, oh, you attention-seeking, sinful woman. How dare you wear something that is so sinful because you want everybody to look at you? No, the reason they wear it is because they believe that God has set them apart and that they need to be set apart and that they need to look slightly different. Mm-hmm. It's not sinful that they believe that, because it's the heart of it is not, I'm going to do this because everybody's going to look at me and I'm so pretty and ooh, ooh. I highly doubt any of those women are thinking that when they put on their hair, and you'll see post after post of women who are like, I finally gathered up the courage to go and do this, because it's hard. It's a hard thing to face the world and look different, but they do it because they believe that it's part of what God has asked of them. Well, I would never think it was sinful because they were attention seeking, because I know their actions are not attention seeking. Yeah. And their actions are to show humility. And I actually covered my hair for an entire year. I had pink hair and dreadlocks, and not a single person saw my hair except for my husband and my children. Mm-hmm. Nobody knew I had pink hair. Nobody knew I had dreadlocks. That was what I was thinking of. So you said you were talking about how people can't watch us because of the way I look. Yeah. This is a podcast. This is put out audio form first and second. If nobody looked at me and they only judged me by my words, what could you listen to me then? Yeah. What if you didn't know what I looked like? Would you have taken that snap judgment, or would you have listened to my words and then grown to not disdain me and then seen me on the back of a podcast cover and gone, oh, wow, she looks like that? Oh, that was not expected.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
again, because I'm going to take all of the usable things the Lord, good Lord has given us to process through something and go, oh, right. Like that was our thing when we used to podcast and Trump was president, right? Because every Christian wanted to hail him as essentially the coming of the Messiah. And it was like, okay, well, let's filter through all the areas and see, like, is this truly a man of God that's like doing that, right? Like, let's invoke those things. So if I'm going to watch someone and listen to someone, sure, I might see this, but then I'm like, okay, well, let me like I'm going to discern through all of this and then be like, oh, okay, you know, like, I mean, if I listened to this and I never saw you, would I still be like, whew, that girl is worldly. I literally cannot listen to her talk. Because if you get through all of this and that's still where you end up, then yes, like don't listen, right? Like if you can't let, you're like, wow, too much.
Dude, if you listen to me and you're like, oh, that crazy lady, don't listen. Please. I'm not asking you to listen to me. In fact, I don't think anybody should listen to me ever. But
we have a crazy friend who forces you onto these every single week. So here you are.
Like, I have no advice for anybody. I have no special words. I can just tell you what I've done. I can tell you where my life has started and then where my life is now and how God got me here. And that's it. That's all I can tell you. You can believe me. You cannot believe me.
It's not about me.
I just have experiences and I'm going to keep telling people because like maybe my experience helps somebody, but I don't know. If I had my way, I wouldn't be on the internet at all. At all.
And I think that's it. Just to kind of wrap it all up, you know, it's everybody makes their snap judgments. And we are called to make judgments. Like making judgments, like that's not a bad thing. But if we're going to not put it through a biblical lens and discern through it, then that's the problem, because then you're just being like the world. The world makes its judgment, does whatever, doesn't care. We're called to be different. We're called to discern through and to look at this and to look at not just the external, but the internal, right? Look for the things that the Lord calls good. Not my church has decided this is the bar. You don't fit. You can't ride. You're not going to find that biblically.
Who gave your church the authority? Why is your church better than their church?
Right. Like, why do you get to pick what looks godly and not me?
Because
what if I think we all should have pink hair? What if I looked at you and said, Sabrina is such a great example because she is. If we want to have that meekness, kindness, gentleness, whatever that the Lord has, then we all need to look like Sabrina. I'm going to dread my hair tonight, dye it, and only wear that sweater, right? Like that would be a weird thing to tell everyone to do, right?
Do not start the cult of Sabrina. Do not start that.
That's not.
But yes, like that, yep. Nope. It's not that way. I just have experiences and that's all I have.
Put in the rest of that discernment to say, oh, that makes sense. I didn't realize how sick you were. I didn't know when I first met you why you had pink hair. And then I heard about it and I was like, that breaks my heart. I am so sorry that you are that chronically ill and broken and sad that you're practically a shut-in, and having pink hair at least was something kind of fun that made you feel a little bit better, because although your faith in the Lord and your walk is so rock solid, you have to deal with the physical effects of a broken, sinful world. And I don't think I could be as joyous as you are if I was going through all of that. Oh, wait, so you're telling me you pass out all the time randomly, and if you hit your head, it's like a baby falling on the ground and hitting their soft spot, and like that. Wow, that's terrifying, number one. And so your answer to that was, here, I'll just make myself a little pillow that is a little more normal than walking around with a helmet on. and try to help cushion the blow so I don't die.
Yes.
But then you're going to, so yeah, I will say I do get a little sassy when people then leave a comment and go, sorry, I don't like your friend's hair. Sorry, I like my friend alive.
I know it's weird, and I know, but like, all you have to do is ask. I'll answer a million questions. I'm open.
Maybe we should all look a little more like Christ and not show up and just make snap nasty comments at people, and instead pause to look at the heart and understand someone and then walk in love with them.
I think that is looking like Christ.
Yeah. Regardless of what color your hair is, or if you put a piece of metal in your nose, or if you wear Argyle socks, or whatever.
Like the beggars and the distraught and the broken, they don't look put together. And I'm positive that Christ came for them. And
we'll redeem them just like he'll redeem us.
So, yeah.
So hopefully that answers all of the questions that so many people so lovingly shared and didn't know they were going to get a response to. But I mean, I know we talked about very specific things, right? Like the nose thing keeps coming up, the hair thing keeps coming up. Like we talked about specific things, but it's the heart of all of this that I think we all can learn from and enact the next time we run into someone, right? I kind of brought up with all the Kat Von D stuff, but like the next time you run into someone that you just want to be like, and I get it, we all do that. We all run into things and go, hold on, I need a little more here. But we have to do that part.
Because God gave us that smart, but then he also gave us the smart to keep going with that and like work through it and go, oh, wait, it's not judgment. That's what the world does. I'm going to keep working through it like Christ and go after that beggar. Be friends with the fallen. Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that answers questions. I feel much better because I've been trying to do this podcast for weeks now.
You have been like, ah!
And again, we're happy to answer any questions. So you guys leave us a comment down below on any of the videos that come out throughout the week. You can always put a little coffee cup next to it. Even old videos you've seen, put a coffee cup next to it. We will answer your questions. We'll be back next Saturday with a special podcast. We're going to be talking a lot about motherhood. And so any questions you guys have, I guess we're going to have my mom on, which I'm so excited about. And so we're going to talk from like mom doing through it. We're kind of like, my kids are still younger. Your kids are older. My mom now with all of her kids, adults, like we're going to have a great conversation about that. So if you guys have, any questions, anything you want to share, but really excited to have that one next week. Got some fun stuff this week, but hopefully this, at least for those who maybe had some of those assumptions and judgments, hopefully now maybe a little more understanding has helped. For those of us who maybe are the people with nose rings, pink hair, and Argyle socks, maybe you have a little more reassurance and like, oh, okay, like what does scripture actually say? Not that it talks about Argyle socks, you know what I mean? Whatever, that was something different, weird that stood out to me. But, you think through these things a little bit more and go, okay, all right, we can get through this. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Miss Brina, for showing up, even though people are poo-poo heads on the internet and say awful things and make you want to go curl up in a cave and never come out. But I'm so thankful for you and having you here to show what a beautiful spirit can look like even throughout all of the muck of life. And I think you're a great encouragement in all of that. So thank you for joining me against your will.
You're welcome.
We'll see you all next week. Bye, friends.